welcome to another episode of Hanging with the Hunns with your host, Todd and Carrie Hunn. Hey y'all, welcome back. It is part 4 of the story of us, and I'm your host, Todd, and this is the co-host, my lovely wife, Carrie.
Hello.
And we're hanging with the Hunns once again. Glad to have you back. I'm excited.
So I know we left off on our last episode about the story of us, how we were going to move to Missouri. But it's something I wanted to talk about in the home that we were at before we moved away Riverside. So we're going to CFC. We have become like family with this church and with our, the friends that we've met there. And that's important because this incident that we had happen at the house with our son. That's what I want to talk about.
Very scary.
So, Todd is playing the drums for the worship.
And I had to go early because I played both morning services. So I got there at like 7 a.m, rehearsed, and then we played 2 services. So I had started the first service playing, and
so I'm at home getting ready in the morning and getting our son ready for church. And I'm in the bathroom, and this is an old house. It's an older older home that has where the doors, when you pull them shut, you really have to pull them pretty hard. They kind of stick. So I always have to close the bathroom door, for our son. He's about walking age at that point. He's up and walking at that time. So I am done in the bathroom, and we're getting ready to leave, and I go to pull the door shut. And it was a little harder this time, and I didn't realize that it's because I turned around and our son's finger is in the door. I had closed his finger in the door, and I was like,
I hate this story.
So I opened it real quick, and I grabbed him, and oh my God, there's blood, and I could just see his finger was cut, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? I got to take him to the emergency room. So I'm calling Todd on the way there and hoping he'd pick up to let him know I'm on my way to the emergency room. And it's like right down the street, very close. 10
he must have called somebody else because...
whoever I called, I was calling to let you know I'm going to be in the emergency room, not going to be at church.
And then let me know.
So you found out. And so I go to the first closest emergency room. And of course they tell me they can't help me because he's a child. And I have to go to the children's hospital. And I'm like, oh, great. Now I got to go all the way across the bridge. And this is, it's only about 15 minutes, I think, from there. But I'm like, oh my God, I got to start all over. I got to get all the way to another emergency room.
Was he screaming?
No. So he, well, I don't know. I think I was in shock. So really, I only remember going there and then getting him to the next place and getting him to the children's hospital emergency room. And then by that time, So
I finished the first service, and one of the leaders came up to me and said,
I think you called me back because I think you said that y'all were going to be
emergency.
Praying for us.
There was an emergency, and you need to call Carrie. There was everyone's okay. I mean, they told me that, and I remember they all prayed for us and for our boy, and then I took off, and they got somebody to,
and you met me at the emergency room at the children's hospital, and
flew down to the hospital, and in my car I flew.
At that time, we were waiting for them. They were going to have us back because they told me you needed to have a surgery. So we waited for you and we all went back to.
So when I went in there, when I found them, and they were in the secondary waiting room, and Mason was, he was like fine. He had a big bandage on, but he didn't look like he was in pain. And I'm like, what the heck? What happened? And she's telling me what happened. And when we finally were called back to the surgery room or whatever, talk to the doctor, then I saw his finger, and it was bad. But they,
So I was worried that, I was just hoping they can save his finger, that they were going to be able to sew it back together, because it was pretty, it was
it
bad.
was like the whole tip, pretty
Yeah.
much,
And I thought he was going to lose it.
like
So they
flip
had
top box.
they had prepared him for surgery and gave him this medicine that,
Well, he
uh,
was explaining. The doctor was actually explaining what he was going to do, but we thought he was going to explain it and then let us
oh
leave. Well,
yeah,
he's explaining it as he's doing it.
administering the
So
medicine.
all of a sudden, our baby boy just goes. His
Go
eyes roll
back
back, and
of
he's
his head.
like catatonic.
Yeah,
And so she's like
that was
freaking out.
scary. Cause,
I knew what
yeah,
was going to happen, but I didn't think he was doing it right then. Anyway, so we were let out. They should have done that before.
yeah. So we
But
leave the room. They do
yeah,
the surgery, and they come back and tell us that his
it wasn't
finger's
very
fine.
long. It was like 15 minutes.
No, yeah. So they came and told us that his finger's fine. They were able to sew it back and together and everything, and it would heal. We could expect it to heal normal or heal fine. So I was like, oh, thank God. Okay, so anyway, I just wanted to share that little story, because it really was a time that I felt just really afraid. Like, just I felt really afraid, but then also just felt that calmness over us during that time, because I really believed that God was with us, and all the prayers that were out, going out for us, really just helped us. And I was very thankful that we had a lot of people then
Yeah,
at the church praying for us at that time, because
especially
that was just a
Nate,
huge,
the son, the boy.
yeah, that was just a big, anyway. Yeah. So I just
But
wanted to share that.
also,
And
let me just say this: we just saw a video of him playing piano, tearing it up, doing a Christmas special. His finger's great.
yeah,
He's an awesome piano player. So all is well,
yes.
and he was healed. So we after that all happened, I he healed up, and it was probably month more later, and I put in my 2 week notice at the warehouse I was working at. And I remember I was loading I drove a forklift, and I was loading a trailer, or unloading a trailer. And the truck driver, he was like a friend of mine. I mean, I was friends with all the truck drivers. And he came up to me and he said, I had a vision of you as a leader or a pastor for a youth ministry where you're going. And I'm like, are you sure? You're sure it's not like music, me playing drums maybe in your dream? And he's like, no, very specific. I was told you were going to be a leader in a youth church. And I'm like, okay, well, whatever. So anyway, worked there for the next 2 weeks, and then
And we were preparing, and you were calling, and getting
oh yeah,
prepared to find a church for us to go to, as so when we moved out there, we'd have a church to go to. And so
like
you're looking into the churches in the town,
about
because
a
your
week out.
brother wasn't going to church, so he didn't really have any churches to recommend.
Right.
So
So I'm not really sure I think it was the internet. I just basically looked for any churches within 5 mile
Craigslist.
radius,
Kidding.
and yeah, maybe the yellow pages, and remember those books?
Yeah.
Um, so I found one church. I called a couple, and I don't really remember. All I know is the one I called that I talked to. Let's just say Pastor Jay. He's super cool, real friendly, and I told him we were coming out there, and we were part of the ministry in the church we were at, and we're looking for a new kind of home church. And he said, "Oh, great, well, stop in. This is where we're at, and come see me, and find me somewhere, and we'll talk, and so I'm like, okay, great,
So you already knew you were going to go out there to work for your brother.
right,
I remember, and at first I thought it was crazy, because I've never lived anywhere but Florida, and so I was like, well, I guess this is what we need to do. We were on fire for God, and we just wanted to trust that God had something for us out there. We were just willing and ready to go.
why
And
not?
I had to tell my mom, I had to tell my parents that I'm taking their first grandchild out of the States to Missouri. That wasn't easy. that
Right.
had to be hard for them, but they understood too. We were doing what we had to do at that time, and I could transfer to the business I was working for has one in Kansas City, so I was thinking I'll just go work there, and I mean they're all over, so I'd go work there. Yeah, so we
So we packed up the
packed up the
U-Haul
U-Haul.
and hit the road.
Well, first we planned driving the U-Haul, and I was gonna drive my car behind him with
Oh
Mace
yeah,
with
yeah,
with
yeah.
our
So she
son.
was behind us in the Mazda.
And and so we also got walkie talkies
Oh
because we
yeah,
were worried that we would not have cell reception, traveling
on
through
our
the
flip
mountains.
phones.
And I had to have, be able to, contact you. We have I have a baby pretty much.
Yeah,
He's,
that's a
one.
good idea.
So yeah, so we got our walkie talkies and then we set up. Oh,
Oh,
and you
and
got
I
your,
got a
yeah,
triptych too from AAA. Those are
that was
that's
very
like
helpful.
old school GPS. It's a map that you turn the pages. They're terrible, but that's all we had back then.
That's
We
how
didn't
we
have
had to get there.
GPS. We didn't have smartphones. I had like a Nokia. I think it looked like a little phaser, Star Trek phaser. Um, I think it was Nokia, probably.
So anyway,
Yeah.
now now we're
It
set to
wasn't a
go.
smartphone.
Now we're
I know it
set to
had
go.
Snake on it. I was like playing Snake all the time.
Yeah, okay, that's a good one. Anyways, we have our triptych, we have our walkie talkies, we are good to go. Let's go. We're going on a road
Yep.
trip.
So we're going. We got 900 miles, 950 miles, I think, um, and we were doing it in two different segments. So the first segment we ended up in. I think we drove for like probably 7 or 8
Whenever it got
hours,
dark, so just
and
to stay overnight.
yeah, we stopped in
Yeah.
Nashville, and the weather was great. Everything was smooth sailing at that time, and then we got back on the road in the AM and started driving. And we got probably little over halfway there, and it's it was snowing. Like, it wasn't full on blizzard yet,
No, it wasn't bad until we got to Missouri,
and then we got in
close to where we
Missouri,
were going to
and
be.
it was really bad. So we stopped at a KFC to eat some dinner, and it was after dark. And we don't have a lot of experience in snow.
Yeah.
I grew up in it, but I not driving. So I called my brother, and he said, "Well, you're pretty much a straight shot from where you're at to where I'm going to meet you." So, and I guess normally it's like a 45-minute drive. So we headed out, and it was a whiteout. It was completely blizzard, like
Can't see
crazy.
anything
I
in
can't
front of
even believe
you.
we're driving at that point. But it was
But thankfully
straight,
it wasn't that
and
far
I
to
could
go.
see the road. It wasn't like I couldn't see anything, but it was pretty bad. So we made it, but it took us probably 2 hours to get, what was normally 45 minutes, just because we were extra cautious and driving safe through the snow. So we got to the point and met my brother at the top of the hill, and he took us down to the property, and we made it. We made it safe. Everybody was good. And so we basically moved into his basement for a few months, and I went to work with my brother. And my other brother had come, and he was living in his camper inside of the big warehouse shed that my brother had. He had a big utility shed. It was huge. Um, so we were working together. It was awesome. Good to be with my brothers, and we had fun, and we were working and doing good for the business. And
We're staying in the basement, which is a finished basement. It was like a little apartment. It was cute.
yeah,
But we were there temporarily until I could find a job, and so that we can find our own place to go. Which I did end up finding. I didn't get into the place I wanted to in Kansas City right away, so I just got whatever job was available at the time, and then it wasn't that long though. Pretty short a time after that, I was able to get the actual job I wanted to get in Kansas City. So,
And
which was a 45-minute drive, pretty far, but it's worth it because it's a good job.
good money
So, yeah.
and insurance. And we also checked into the church probably a couple days after we got there, and I talked to Pastor Jay and met him, and he was super cool. But he was kind of a jack of all trades. I mean, he was doing so many things. He played the drums and was the worship leader from the drums, and he was also the youth pastor, like a backup pastor. He did the tech stuff. I
He's
mean, he
wearing a
was
lot
like
of hats.
he was amazing. He was like a juggler. Uh, so he was. I'm sure he was happy that a drummer was going to come in and play. You know, he
No,
didn't know
he
anything
was
about me,
happy. He
but
was
yeah,
definitely happy for you to be there. I
I'm
think,
sure once I fit in, you know, he was like, "Ah, oh, thank God."
and he might not have thought that you were like serious or whatever when you called
Right?
before.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, sure, okay. But
that's
then you
kind of how
showed
it
up, and
sounded.
he's
Yeah,
like, oh, well, here you are. All right,
yeah.
good.
So
Here, take the drugs. All
yeah,
right.
and then Carrie was in the with the children's ministry, and she was serving in there, and we fit right in real quick.
Yep, just like
The
home.
the lead pastor there, Pastor I'll call him Pastor T. He's an amazing person. I'm still friends with him. I still consider him my pastor. He sends me devotional text, and we talk back and forth, and he's got a great story too. His story is amazing. So we were happy to be there and felt like that's where we were needed, and God led us there. So it was a perfect fit, and we loved the people there. I mean, it was just a great. It's a little church, but let me say, it's an Assemblies of God church, and I had no idea we had no idea about anything like denominations or anything. So we were coming from a non-denomination church to the other end of the spectrum, which was Assemblies of God, and they do everything different, but it was awesome because we got to see all these things that we were never like, never shown at the other church, and it was pretty
It was a different
it
experience,
was different,
definitely,
but
but
we
it was
loved it.
good.
I mean, it was great.
You would definitely feel God there, and seeing God move in everybody's lives there, and just all individually too. Yeah, things are good, and you could I just feel like God just lined that all up,
Yeah,
and
definitely.
and that's the thing. We could see how God was working in our lives, and before it was like we just didn't see it, but then once we started living for God, and just like we were on fire for God, we were like just involved with the church. You could just see him work everything out for us, and yeah, so things are good.
Oh,
And
and I got in a band.
oh yeah,
I
so
got in a band, like
and how do you
a
find that
town. I don't
band?
even know. I think I checked there's like a little music store, and I might have they might have had a flyer with
I think
a
it was
drummer
another
needed.
divine
It definitely was.
connection.
It definitely was because when I met them and I played with them, I was like, oh yeah, I love these
Wait,
guys.
what was their names?
Well, that's what I'm getting
Oh,
to. Um, I so I'm playing with these guys, and I just come from the world of metal with in Order by Chaos, and so I was like, it was the complete other side, playing with Slayer and all these bands, and then we move out here, and I meet these guys, and their band was called Controlled Chaos. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? This is crazy. So
I feel like that's God's sense
I
of
know,
humor
yeah,
too.
exactly. I was like, what are the odds? What the heck's going on here? So I'm starting to really like, okay, I'm starting to see what you're doing here, and it's like I wasn't really too like firm of a believer until I started seeing all these things, and I'm like, okay,
Well, and then
wow,
also I
this is
noticed
amazing.
another thing that we just noticed that like our life was it's just such a different lifestyle. We're not drinking, we're not smoking, we're not we're not cursing. I mean, you're not using every other f. I mean, using the f word every other
I
word.
love the F word.
I was like, what is happening? We have changed like so much, and
I
then we're
still
not
say
going
it if I
out.
like stub my toe or something, but that's
It's
it.
just, and then the only music I was listening to was Christian radio in the car and at home, and
Good
I mean that
music.
was just all the music we were listening to then. So I mean, and that's just how our lifestyle was. It just changed. Like I guess just
It was like, yeah, it
it
was
just
like
happened.
good and
Something that just
evil.
happened.
The total opposite side. We opened for like these big name Christian bands. I was like, this is crazy. This is awesome.
Yeah, it's
So
fun. It's
yeah.
good. So yeah, so things are good. We could see that why we moved there. It was a good thing. We made a good choice, I think. So so then
We
we
moved
had.
out. We found a place.
I already said
Oh,
that.
you did?
I think,
Okay.
didn't I?
I don't know. If she's
Well,
I don't
no.
know if
Well,
she said it or not.
okay. Well, after
We
yeah,
found a
because I got my
place.
job and everything, so we were able to find our own place. And yeah, okay, so we did find our own place, and it was a little 2 bedroom home in the town, and in the little small town closer to the church too. So yeah. So anyway, things are good there. We get our house, and then we go see Billy Graham was having his
Oh yeah.
crusades,
And my
or
brother moved right up the street with his family, so they
yeah,
were right
and they
next to
got
us.
their own
So that was
little
really cool.
place too.
Yeah, we went to Billy Graham, so he had his crusades, and they were like it was
Big
like a
stadium,
stadium
yeah.
tour, 75,000 people, and um, just I've yeah, he was awesome. He was one of those people that you see on TV, your whole life, and I'd never seen him before. I don't think you'd ever
No,
seen him,
no, this was the first
and
for us.
he was
First
getting
one.
old. He was like I don't know. He
It might have
lived a
been one of.
long life,
It was
but
close to his last tour, I
yeah.
think.
So I think it was one of his last tours, and so we went to see him, and my brother and sister in law they also came with us, and we were way up in the nosebleeds and just having a ball. And he did his call to the altar call at the end where everybody goes down and it's like the invitation and he asks everybody to raise their hands, and then I think he says after that, if you raise your hands, come down here and pray with us. Or so my brother and sister-in-law both raised their hands, and they went down through this, like
Hmm.
all the way down from the nosebleeds into the field. And it was amazing. Everyone was cheering. That was awesome.
Yeah,
So
yeah, it was a good experience. It's cool, and to see like how God started moving in their lives
yeah,
after that.
definitely
It was cool because
immediately changed.
yeah. So there was that's what. So I had a friend that I worked with that invited me to her church, which was in St. Joe, where I was then working. I had transferred to the office in St. Joe, which was 30 minutes away instead of 45 minutes away, which was nice. So we started going to that church on Friday nights, and that's where your brother
Right. Yeah,
and sister-in-law
they
and
went to that one
yeah, so they started to come with us, and they seemed to enjoy
because
it.
he had to be at home for a church of NFL on Sundays.
Anyway,
So.
they came to church with us on Friday nights, and they loved it,
Yeah.
and they continued to go there. I think even like after we moved, they still started to go. They still kept
Uh-huh.
going there. So it's so cool to see how God can change lives, how He just moves in people's lives, and how He uses people, to make that happen. And that was what we experienced there, and just continued to, and it was awesome. So things are good after that. So and we got to experience our first storms in the summer.
Oh,
So
tornadoes.
now the summer has, yeah, apparently tornadoes, and that's one of the reasons I did not really want it. I was not thrilled to move to Missouri at first, for
Yeah,
what I heard about.
it's
We were
kind of
going to move there.
scary.
Yeah,
At least we were in the basement.
all I could think of was out, I guess Midwest is what you would call that. Tornadoes, Children of the Corn. I mean, that's what these scary
Cornfields
movies
are,
about.
and
Like,
there's cornfields all around
where
us
are we
too.
going?
Yeah,
So
Malachi.
now I am worried that, we start hearing about tornado warnings, and they have these sirens that go off when they're expecting tornadoes, and I heard that, and I remember being really afraid.
There
I was
was
like, oh my
one
god,
that
we're gonna have a tornado.
there was one night where me and my brother actually went out and thought we were storm chasers,
Mm.
and we went out to look for the
Was
tornado
that
that we
this
had heard.
summer? Was that the first summer? I think that
It doesn't matter.
might have been the
No,
next
I think it
summer.
was the first one.
Oh.
Yeah, it was. And we could see every time the lightning would strike, the sky would light up, and we could see the tornado going across the horizon. Like it was like this. It was huge, going across, and it ended up that we were seeing like storm chasers flying by in their trucks and everything. I'm like, we probably shouldn't be here anymore. I was getting nervous.
Yeah, but they were all excited about all that and outside, and I'm in the house like, no, I'm getting in the basement.
Yeah.
I think ever since then I've had these crazy tornado dreams.
Yeah, so we made it back safely and looked at the news the next morning, and it was like an F4. It was some up like 15 miles long, and it just devastated like all over that area. And it was pretty close to us. So
Good
that was
times.
my experience with the tornado. So I could say I've chased a storm now.
Cut that out.
Yeah.
Okay, so now there is I feel like it's just this season. There's a season that where it's in the fall, and here we are again. There's fall, and
Yeah, right.
it's
Seriously.
we have our first baby. What is like 2, so now I'm like, okay, I think we're ready for another one. Things are good. We got our little cute little house, and
Time
you're
for a
in
girl.
church, and I'm like, yeah, I think it's time for another baby, and I want a little girl. So I've always wanted a little boy and a little girl, and I start praying for a little girl.
Made a baby. I don't know.
Anyway, so I start praying for a little girl because that's what I want. So we get pregnant.
She prayed for a very specific
Well,
child.
yeah. I mean,
She
well, of course,
prayed
I prayed for a little girl with blonde hair, blue eyes. That was
Yes.
my specific prayer that I just hoped for. That's what I wanted to hoped for that. So, anyways, moving on. Soon after we find out I'm pregnant and things are all going pretty good.
The whole vision that the truck driver had actually came true, and that was kind of weird.
Oh yeah,
'Cause
that's right. Because you started to serve in the youth
I was
ministry, youth
actually
church. Yeah.
yeah,
Sorry.
not a pastor, but I was like speaking, doing messages and stuff, and that was crazy for me because I don't like to lead or do speeches in front of people.
Yeah, but you did it, and you did it well.
Yeah,
Like
it was
that's
cool.
the thing. It's like I think you were called to do that, even though you didn't
Right.
know you were going to do that. And yeah,
And that whole youth ministry was really it was really awesome because it was on I think Friday nights, and they had all the kids, like no matter, they didn't even, some of them didn't even go to church, but it was a place to go to fellowship, and to hang out.
at least
I mean,
on
because
Wednesday nights. Yeah.
it was a little small town, and normally if those kids don't have some kind of outlet, they're getting in trouble or tipping cows, or I don't know if they do that anymore. Tipping cows.
I think
and
that was the thing to do out
lighting
there,
sticks of
Midwest.
dynamite and drinking and boozing. Kids do in small towns, driving their pickup trucks and tractor.
We've heard some
What's the
crazy
tractor
stories
thing?
from those kids.
Dueling tractors.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was
That's
a good,
Footloose.
safe place for them to go to hang out. And there was pool tables, and we had the worship team play music and taught a lot of the kids how to play instruments and kind of raised them up to do the things in there, and it was awesome. I loved it.
And yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because you did make a difference in their lives, and I could see it. I heard the stories, the way they would talk about you, and the way that they would just run up to you and couldn't wait to see you when you get to church. They'd run up, hey, Mr.
Yeah.
Todd.
I know. I'm still friends with some of them on
That's nice. That's good.
Face space, stuff like that.
Yeah.
The interwebs.
Yeah, and everybody was so nice at that church. It was,
Yeah.
another place that we found, our church family that took care of us and um, took us in. So then I get this call from my mom, and my mom's telling me that my papa is not doing well. So he is sick with dementia, and it was is really hard to find this out, knowing that he's been running his business until just where he wasn't able to anymore because of with dementia. So my mom's trying to help him, and she's telling me this, and I'm like, okay. And immediately I felt like I need to get back. I need to get back to Florida. And so I remember telling you that we have to figure out a way
Right.
as soon as possible. I'm ready to drop everything. I mean, I know I'm pregnant. I know we're going to have a baby soon, but we have to find a way to get back, because I want to help. I want to help my mom. I want to help my
Be there
papa.
with her family.
And I mean, she shared some things that were going on at the business that were concerning, and I just wanted to be there to help as much as I can. So here we are, trying to figure out. I mean, what are we going to do? We can't just up and leave. I mean, that there's a lot involved, and
Yeah.
and it's I'm sure
And we
couldn't
I mean,
afford
we were
it
there
just to.
for like a year and a half,
Yeah.
So
So now I'm just praying that God makes a way, and we just set out to try to figure out how we can make this happen.
and then my mom called.
Yeah.
And my mom called, and she had some cockamamie plan. She's like, I saw this thing on the TV, and it's a video competition to win a scholarship to motorcycle school or something like that. And I was like, oh yeah, sounds cool, Mom. Like, what are you talking about?
What does that have
And
to do with
like,
me?
I had no idea what she was talking about. I wasn't connecting anything. I just thought she was coming up with a crazy idea once again. And so I was like, okay, yeah, I'll look into that and whatever. Love you. Bye. And let that go, and totally forgot about it. And she called back probably a week later, maybe a week later, and told me, she's like, have you looked into the video competition that I told you about? And I said,
She's serious.
no, I haven't had time to. And she goes, you need to look into that and check it out. You need to do that. I think you'd be good at that. And I'm like, okay, all right, I'll check it. And then I started like, I mean,
you looked it
this
up.
is
I
twice
remember
now.
when you
Yeah.
looked it up, and we found out where it would possibly put you.
Yeah. So I looked it up and saw the rules and everything. And I was like, yeah, this sounds fun. I might as well try it out. And so I wrote up a little storyline and basically was thinking, it was like a 2-minute video. It had to be. And so I'm like, but I don't know how to do.
So this competition is to get a scholarship to
MMI, Motorcycle Mechanics Institute.
So you would have to seriously consider being a mechanic.
Yes. And I've always liked motorcycles, but I've never really been mechanically inclined or anything. So I was like, okay, whatever. So, but it was in Orlando, so that's kind of cool. It's close to, it's about 2.5 hours away from Jacksonville. So
this could be our chance.
Yeah.
To get back to Florida.
No, I wasn't thinking that at all. She might have been thinking that, but I was not thinking that. I was like, okay, that'd be cool. Yeah. Let me for whatever to appease Mom. I'm going to do this. And so, and I actually, it was a lot of fun. I didn't know anything about videos or how to make them or anything. So I called Pastor Jay, which was also the internet or the video guy at church.
Oh yeah, another hat he wears.
he's like, yeah, I could do that. And I told him what it was and everything. And I kind of had the little storyline written out and in cartoon form. And so we started this video, and it was basically like a narrative kind of video. It's like, this is Todd. And it shows me, doing something or other. And it's like, this is his lovely wife, Carrie.
Who's pregnant at the time.
Yeah, pregnant. And anyway,
I think I was in
so
the kitchen
we were bouncing
in the
ideas. Yeah,
video,
yeah,
like
you were. You're
cooking.
like cooking barefoot,
I want
probably.
to
I
think our
think you're
son was sitting
barefoot.
on the floor in the
Yeah.
kitchen, like
So, so Jeremy, his sense of humor and my sense of humor were totally different, but we both are, throwing ideas off each other, and it was hilarious. We were having so much fun making this video. So we get the whole video done, and he's got like clipped parts from the internet that are hilarious, um, and we do the whole video, and it's exactly 2 minutes long. And so I send it off and just kind of forgot about it. Whatever. I mean, we might have prayed and said, this is your
oh, I
will,
was praying.
yeah.
I was like, please.
I don't even think at that time I was even considering it, because not that it couldn't be done, but I was like, there's probably millions of people doing this. So
Sure.
so 2 weeks later, I get a call, and it's the one of the lead guys from UTI, which is the company over MMI, and he says, "Hey Todd, just want to let you know we love your video." And I was like, "Yes, I won! Oh my god, I won!" And he goes, "We're down to 5, and your video is in the top 5. So congratulations!" And I was like, oh man, so then I'm really like a nervous wreck, right?
So
So
you're
i'm
saying
i'm
there's a
yeah,
chance.
exactly. So now I'm like, oh my god, this could actually happen. So I'm like, oh. um and then just like the anticipation, I don't know if it's probably a week, but maybe 5 days, I don't know. It felt like 2 weeks, and I get this call, and I'm like, hello. And he's like, "Hey, Todd, this Todd?" And I go, "Yeah." And he goes, "Hey, it's Jeremy." And I'm like, "Oh, hey, man, what's up?" And thinking, because I know a couple Jeremys, and
Yeah.
I'm trying to like kind of register the voice. He doesn't sound like a Jeremy I know. And he goes, "It's Jeremy McGrath. You won the scholarship." And I was like, "Shut up. Are you freaking, you're kidding me. Come on." And he's like, "Nope, not kidding you. We love your video. It's hilarious." And he's like, "You won the scholarship. I'm going to put the guy on the phone, give you the details. You're going to fly out to Las Vegas to accept it at the Supercross Championship at Sam Boyd Stadium. It's gonna be awesome." He's like, "Congratulations!" I'm like, "Oh my god, this is freaking amazing!" So there's our path back
Yep.
to
So I'm like,
Florida.
yes, we're gonna go. This is it. This is definitely God. It has to be. I mean, this is all God. Like, what?
I know.
Like,
So
what?
that was amazing. So
Like,
Carrie couldn't go to
oh,
Las Vegas because
I was
she
too
stayed.
pregnant.
Yeah, she was
Too far pregnant.
very pregnant, and me, my brother, and my
we
nephew,
had
and
wait.
my nephew, what?
Yeah. So I was too pregnant to go, and so and then of course we had our son. So really wasn't possible for me to go. So then we thought, okay, well, you don't really want to go by yourself.
Right.
So thankfully, your brother was
Yes.
willing to go with you.
Yeah.
And that was awesome because
I think he
he
even
made it
paid for some
possible.
of
He
it.
made
Yeah,
it possible
definitely.
for you to go, so you didn't have to go by
He did.
yourself.
Yeah.
And for him, and then he was able to take his son with him, so y'all made a fun trip out of it. So
Yeah, and
that was cool.
he got to see they gave us a tour when we got there of the pit area and the press box where all the people go that watch
Like VIP.
yeah, all the fancy people. And it was cool. We but when we when I got the award, they called me up on stage, and it was, probably 50,000 people, big stadium. There's motorcycles flying all over. Um, Air Force jets coming in doing flyovers, and I was like, "What is happening here? This is freaking crazy! I can't believe this is happening." And they announced me that I was the winner on stage, and Jeremy McGrath was standing right next to me, and he handed it to me, and I said all my thank yous and everything, and it was awesome. So that happened, and so we returned to Missouri and started. Now we had a plan not only to have a baby, but then, okay, we've got a path back. So we
So
started planning for everything
yeah.
once again.
So here
Action
we are.
packed.
I remember I did have a nice baby shower. The ladies at the church threw me a nice baby shower for us. And then we started preparing for the baby. And I remember I didn't go into labor like I did with our first one. It wasn't like a gushing
Right.
water break. I think maybe I'm having a baby. So we packed the car and headed out to the hospital, which is 30 minutes away. So we get there and they said, "Nope, you're not ready. You're not in labor." And I was like, "What?" It's like, okay, I guess we got to go all the way back home. And I remember telling you, I was like, "No, this is definitely, like, I know this is definitely happening, I guess, but fine, we'll go back. We'll go back home." But sure enough,
All
it
the way
was
back.
probably the morning. I want to say it was the next morning.
Yeah.
It was,
Soon after.
yeah. I was like, no, this is happening. It was like more, and I felt the contraction. So I was like, we need to go back. So we went back, and they said, yes, okay, now you are ready. Although they had to break my water because I wasn't. It wasn't happening when it was should have been by then fully. But anyway, so they did that, and I was able to go into have a regular birth. So everything was going pretty normal. Um, and so I go to give birth to this beautiful baby that did not have blonde hair.
No, she came out with spiky jet
Jet black
black hair,
hair.
and it was
I was like,
super full.
I
And
was like, oh man, where's my blonde
it's
hair?
because of all the spicy food.
I don't know, but
I
she
don't know.
was so adorable. She was so
Yeah, she was
sweet, cute
precious.
little baby,
I love my
sweet
little
baby girl.
black hair
Um,
baby.
yeah, she was precious, and so everything was great. We had lots of visitors come up there, and a lot of our friends. It's almost like a kind of like a get together, going away party because
Going away,
they all
happy
knew we were
baby.
leaving too. We were going to
Yeah.
be moving back to Florida, so and then
Oh,
we go back.
and fast forward a couple years.
Oh
Um,
yes, so
our daughter's hair is beautiful and blonde, and her eyes are
I
blue.
did actually get
So,
my blonde hair, blue eyed baby girl,
yeah.
and it was only a couple of years later, but her hair turned blonde. But yeah, it's God's sense of humor, I think.
Yes.
He's like,
Once
just
again.
kidding, just kidding. Here she
Psych.
is. Here's your blonde hair. Oh my gosh, that's awesome. So yeah, we go back home. We start getting prepared to move, and I'm like talking about pretty soon. Like I talked to my mom. She comes out. She flies out to help us pack so she can ride back with me. And this is literally a month after I have a baby.
Yep.
And we are in the car and heading back to Florida. Yay!
Ay, ay, ay.
I was so happy that we made all that work out. And now here's the thing. So of course,
We didn't make any of that work out.
no, I'm so happy
Somebody
that it
did.
all worked out, and God made it work out. Like it
Yes.
was all God
Seriously.
because yeah, even to have my mom come out and be able to do that, and then all of us to be able to pack up and go, and of course I'm going to stay with my parents, because Todd has to go to Orlando now to this,
Right.
the to get your scholarship because you
Yeah.
had a scholarship, so to go become a mechanic.
Yeah, so we had to figure that out too.
That
That's
was a little
another
challenging,
that's
but we
actually the next
we'll talk about that
chapter,
next time.
because it gets even crazier after that.
Yes, so back to Florida, and we will continue the story of us.
Oh, let me just say I'm very grateful for the church we were in, because they were just, once again, it was like the last church, they just really
Step
had,
up and
yeah,
really,
they took us in like family, and they prayed for us and made sure, we went off with everything, all the blessings. And I mean, it was awesome. And this is like all still new to me, all these, dealing with people, meeting people like this. I'm always kind of not the most trusting person. I'm always kind of think somebody's got an angle, or they're, I'm just not really sure. So, but they were so genuine. Like, all these people are just great people, and they treat you like your family, like for real family. And so I just want to say that I'm really grateful for everybody we met. And I mean, like I said, I'm still in contact. That's my pastor out there.
Yeah,
So
you look
he's still
back
my
and
pastor.
you can kind of just see how, God just set all that up. He sets up those, it's divine connections. I always believe that he makes a way for us, because he already knows what we're going to need before we do.
Yep.
But anyway,
So on
so
that note,
that's it for now. And thank you for watching.
thank you for
thank you for
watching
thank you
and
for watching
listening.
and listening.
Listening.
Thank you for joining us on our journey
We'll
of
see
Story
you
of Us.
on part
And
5.
please like and subscribe. And I
Yes.
know that some of you aren't able to subscribe, and that's okay. But please like our video.
Yes, and watch them.
Yes.
And give us feedback. And hit the little notification bell. Ding, ding, ding. And it'll tell you when the next one comes. So, yeah.
See you
We
next
love you
time.
guys. Bye.
Bye.